First thing that I would lean into is the power of mentorship. There are disappointing days as an entrepreneur. You always ask, did you learn something? Would you do it again? AI can be an invaluable tool, depends on how you use it. You're ensuring that you're validating the information that you're getting. Social media, like AI, it can get overwhelming. Pick which social media platform you're most effective with.
Welcome back to Courageous New Start. Be your own boss. I'm Dawn Stevens, along with Alexis Rogers. Good to be back here again.
Yes, get a little smarter.
Definitely. We are bringing up so many experts that are helping us transition from, if you're in that corporate world, going to entrepreneurship like we have done. And we're bringing them on this show to you each and every week so we can get smarter.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yes. Courageously. Courageously. That's a real, I even like this morning, I was like, oh man, okay. This is like all a part of the Courageous New Start journey. Yeah. So I'm excited about our guest because this is going to be great.
I am too. I think that she is on a journey that's very relatable for so many people, just because, let me say this to you. A lot of people want to start a new business, and it usually has a social impact. Or a lot of times.
Yes.
I want to help people. You and I both started nonprofits to help people.
Yes.
And so then there's that balance of how do you continue staying focused on that social mission and also build a business?
Yes.
And make some money. So let's be real, y'all. We're going to talk about it today and get down to the nitty gritty. So we want to welcome Artika Tyner to Courageous New Start Podcast. Hey, lady.
Hello. Honored to be here with you today. Looking fabulous.
Oh, looking so gorgeous. All pumpy and bright. We have some good colors on today. I want to just give a little bit of background on you. And this was what I was going to end with. I'm going to start with this. Friend of mine, first of all, who helped Landon and I on our business journey.
Love that.
So this girl is about to give us some wisdom. National leader in social justice, economic empowerment, inclusive leadership. You're an author, educator, attorney, and founder of the nonprofit Planting People, Growing Justice. You have done it all and so much more. And just every time I have a conversation with you, I learn so much. So I'm excited to bring Artika to the people.
When we were chatting about this, I was like, oh, Artika needs to be my new friend because, doing social impact work, that's what my business is rooted in. And a lot of people always think nonprofit, but there is a for-profit leg to a lot of social impact work that people just don't understand. How do I have passion, put it into purpose, and still give myself a paycheck? So I'm excited to chat with you as well in regards to that. What would be maybe like your first, a bit of advice for people who are so passionate about something, but they're trying to figure out how do I turn this passion into a legitimate business or opportunity?
The first thing that I would lean into is the power of mentorship. I wouldn't be here without a circle of mentors that support me each and every day. For me, passion always leads everything that I do, but passion has to be coupled with a good plan. So my SCORE mentor, Mr. Leon, has been my mentor since 2014.
Ooh.
Every step of the way, he's helped to support me. Like, is that a good idea? He's like, no.
Somebody tells you to say no.
Right? Yes, and he's been very direct on the no's, the pivots, and the opportunities. He always asks. There are disappointing days as an entrepreneur. He always asks, did you learn something? And some days I'm like, that was an expensive lesson to learn.
You hear me?
But then he follows up and says, would you do it again? And it's like, no, now I know how to discern and move through that dilemma. So circle of mentors, the people who have gone where you're headed, are essential, and they need to be just a phone call away.
I love that. I also am a part of SCORE. I specifically got a mentor for marketing.
Okay.
And with the book that we're going to be sharing in a few episodes, Change the World Challenge. And so just to have him say, don't go that direction, go this direction. Immediately think about how much time that saved me on my journey. So I love that, Artika. Okay, so you obviously built a bookstore, which is amazing, a publishing house, a literacy nonprofit. I want you to share with folks what's the lesson within those ventures that first-time business owners really need to hear, because you were just building so much.
I was on a mission to build all of them as rapidly as possible. Because I wanted to ensure that, especially for Black children, all children, but for Black children, they can find joy in reading. So I needed a comprehensive way to do that. I would say one of the things that I missed as a step was understanding the numbers. I thought mission could then compel us to have greater revenue, and everyone understood what was in my head. But one of my mentors in that mentor circle, Coach Herb, said, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was like, oh, that was humbling. He was like, yes, I understand what you're seeking to accomplish, the mission, but I don't understand your numbers. So nearly a year of coaching from Coach Herb brought me to the point of the whole time my numbers were talking, I wasn't listening.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Hold on a minute. The numbers were talking, but you weren't listening for a year.
Yes.
That is an honest reflection. Wow.
It's very humbling because I thought to myself, okay, this is my number for my print run. This is how I'll sell these books. This is the strategy that I'll use. This is the audience that I'll be reaching. And none of my assumptions were correct. And the numbers were telling me a completely different story, but I couldn't hear them because I would justify my actions and say, but you're helping the community. You're doing things people never did before. The books look great. Children will love them. Instead of truly looking at the numbers, because what that pivot allowed me to do was to see that I had to focus on the revenue to fund the mission. I was doing it the opposite.
So we're going to touch on that later, but let's just jump into this now. You used the word pivot because those numbers were so important. And a year later, you said, oh my gracious, I have to do something. So let's talk about what the numbers showed, and then how, in fact, did you pivot to change things?
The numbers showed that my audience shopped at Abercrombie and Finch. I'd never been there before.
Artika, you haven't been to Abercrombie? It's a very interesting place.
I haven't not anything there. That's true.
Well, they had to change what they're doing, but keep going. That's right. That's the whole thing. It's on Netflix.
So anyway, go ahead.
I needed to go. I needed to go to Rosedale and see that experience because once I had the research, and I couldn't believe someone like me as a lawyer, I'm a very data-driven person, that when you're looking at mission, and let's be candid for a moment, I want us to be as transparent as we can. Oftentimes, especially for the Black entrepreneur, mission and vision equals liberation.
Yes.
Being an entrepreneur is a badge of honor, but it also has to be something that has a pragmatic approach. Literally, would I have done anything else without counting up the cost? No. So the same had to be true for my business ventures, that I had to sit there and do the thing that I didn't want to do, was even understand the demographics of my audience. And my audience, I thought it was African-American female, ages probably 30 to 50, also African-American males, same, but I was going to bring the age up a little bit. I was going to say 35 to 60, maybe it's more grandparents, uncles buying our books for the children. And literally, my demographic was white females, ages 20 to 45. When I first received it, I was in shock. I was like, no, hold on. This is all about Black books for Black people, Black change, Black liberation. As a civil rights attorney, you know where I'm going. Right. But the reality of it was I completely missed the steps and jumped down the full staircase because it made perfect sense, those demographic numbers, because who are most librarians? Who are most teachers? So actually, it was a blessing, and it is a compliment to the work, but I never tried to reach the audience that I truly was intending to reach in getting the books out in the classrooms, in the libraries, in the community. That meant, yes, I needed the same folks I was talking about, the Black community, and the professionals who were helping to support the work as well. I missed the and.
Wow. That and is interesting to me because...
Hi, everyone. I hope you're enjoying this conversation as much as I am. We know it's crucial to get the right guidance from the right people. As a business owner, I've been getting great financial guidance for years now from my local bank, Midwest One. For those of you thinking about starting your own business, Midwest One Bank is committed to supporting those dreams. Their mission is simple: take care of their customers and those who should be. That mission guides everything they do, building genuine relationships, delivering top-tier service, and providing local expertise in Minnesota, Iowa, Colorado, and Wisconsin, with decisions made right in the community. Midwest One takes a proactive approach to understanding and anticipating customer needs. When you're ready to turn your idea into reality, Midwest One stands ready to help make it happen. Visit MidwestOne.com, Midwest One Bank, FDIC.
Because, one, I think it takes a certain mindset maturity to understand that. And I'm very thankful that you're bringing up that and, because I think that there are a lot of really talented people who have gone into their entrepreneurship journey and they don't understand that and. They're like, well, but I see myself in this. So of course this is for people who look and fit what I fit. And it's like, yes, but also who's going to spend the money on it and get it to other places that might still need that and maybe not understand that they need it. But they're like, oh, this is a trusted source. Because can we talk about like partnerships for 2 seconds here? Because one, how do you get partnerships? Now that you understand how to align the data with what you need, how do you get the partnerships? And then how do you make sure that those partnerships get fed in a way that's beneficial for you and for that person?
Partnerships were a part of that pivot because I thought as long as I create great books and bring them to the market, what more do you want from me? And all my mentors said, that's an interesting way of thinking, but that's not how business works. So I had to literally sit down for months and now years, plan on those partnerships. Where are those librarians? Where do they meet every year? That meant I go to the American Library Association annually and do a book signing. Where are those teachers? I'm just returning back from Denver for NCT. That's the National Council on Teachers of English. I had to start building strategic partnerships with not only professional associations, but that both and with that whole demographic that I had missed for over 5 years, to sit in the places where they're sitting, to understand. I had to have those beta groups, those focus groups, to understand why were they purchasing our books. You know, you could flatter yourself and say because they're great books, but no, the real issue was that those librarians, those teachers, those educators, that and demographic that I didn't even take into account, who were anchoring our entire business, they said something that I didn't even anticipate. They said, we need your books. One woman was in tears. She was like, I need your books for my children to teach them how not to be racist. I need your books so they can understand American history. And I'm looking like that was my goal, but I never articulated it and I was never intentional about it.
Ooh, can we, real quick, because you just dropped like about 5 shirts right there. And I like that. That's amazing. I think that this is what makes social impact, anything, businesses, work, passions, much different than other sectors, right? Because you have to understand that impact is universal. So we're trying to figure out how powerful our impact can be. It starts with doing things like what you did with the data to be like, okay, why do they even want this in the first place? And not trying to make it fit the narrative that you thought. Gosh, that is a word. We used to have that conversation a lot in newsrooms all the time. Like, as I was getting a little bit more seasoned in the industry, I started to have a bigger voice to be like, why are we acting as if we already know how this story is going to end? Right. I understand that we have covered a lot of X, Y, Z, but we have to leave room for the chance that we do not know everything.
Yeah. And Artika does such a great job of when she sees the research and she sees the data, she goes and makes changes. And that's the story that you just shared to make sure that you can address it. And I think to take it a step even further so that our audience understands how all of that paid off. Take us through after you pivoted and did all the things you needed to do and got in the spaces where you needed to get to. How did that pay off? What does your company, what does your organization look like now as far as its success? Is it growing? Did you see the effort you put in actually pay off? Talk about that.
I would say I'm still pivoting. I can give you a recent example of that. I was in our warehouse going through our inventory and I said to myself, should we be keeping all this inventory or should we have a very short number of titles for backlists and literally sell out these books and move on to the next title? Now, that was an emotional journey once again, because each book is like my new child. I'm like, but if 20 years down the line, if this book can reach so-and-so, I had all the answers. But then I had to look at the numbers. The numbers have been talking again. You're paying storage fees.
Right.
Right. It was a lot of questions that came up just within the past 48 hours of what is your methodology to ensure that you're keeping current titles, that you're keeping whatever you consider to be the classics, but how much of each title do you truly need on hand? What's selling, what's not selling. Once again, my heart says everything's selling, but there were some realities. There was 2 books that I was like, probably my parents bought it and that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at 10,000 more sitting at me, looking at me.
When you're talking about data, and before we get off of this, you know, I think we say things a lot, we being like people as a collective, right? All the kindred. Okay. So I think, I think a lot of times we're like, hey, do your research, you know, take data, but we don't actually tell people like how to do that, you know, or
Girl, that was my question.
you know what I mean? Or like, and they're like, we'll be like, do your research. And I'm like, why am I telling this person to do their research when they weren't even good at it in like the 4th grade? Like, I need to make sure that they know what exactly that good research it is. Like, can we just start from there? So obviously you are an incredibly smart human being with so many degrees and just wonderfulness behind you, knowledge. But like for anybody who's like, okay, I want to do what Artika's done where I want to get the data, what are some ways they can do that if they truly, honestly have never done that before?
That's a good question. For me, it's just like my ABCs 1, 2, 3 every day. That's just how my mind works. I've been like this since I was a little girl. And then probably law and all the degrees followed me because it's just the nature of how my mind works. So this is a good opportunity for me to be reminded that I also have to be willing to teach some of the things that just happen automatically for me. We do have more tools than ever before. But the question is, do you know what those tools are? So, of course, I will tell you, I was completely reluctant. I thought AI was like some spy coming into my house. And I was there. Yeah, I am AIP. I read the data privacy policies for like a year. The lawyer in me was like, read everything you can. And then one day I was like, let's just give it a try. I put in my query, write a children's book about Dr. Artika Tyner. And I'm like, hey, this is going to take some time. Like everybody else, they're going to misspell my name. Like, it's not going to work. Less than, 5 seconds later, I had the full manuscript in front of me. And it was accurate. So I use that as an example because oftentimes we focus on AI and potential impact and how it can be misused. I would say we also should focus on how AI could be used to help us be more effective in certain ways. So you can put that query into AI. In fact, I have. I've asked AI, what's the most effective marketing for children's books? What would it look like for a 3-month plan? What would it look like for a 12-month plan? And of course, you don't rely solely on AI.
Sure.
I use AI to confirm the research I had already done. And I was like, okay, then that means I'm on the right track. But I missed these one or two things AI figured out. Maybe I'll add them on my list. So I would say AI can be an invaluable tool. It depends on how you use it, ensuring that you're validating the information that you're getting, but it could be a good starting point. Also, earlier I mentioned some of the professional associations. You can go to them. They publish annual reports. The publishing associations, I look at the reports. What are the trends? What's the average revenue? What do I need to know? Those reports are there. And then for the general numbers, it's much easier. My e-commerce site, I can just click a couple buttons and get the output of those reports as well. So I would say starting there is a baseline. And then as you build your muscle and research, think about what are your projections? What are the factors that you'll have to anticipate? And it's a team sport again. My accountants help, my tax attorneys help, and to a certain extent, my financial planner plays a role because I'm looking at my numbers as an individual. I'm like, does this yield make sense of where I should be in light of how much time I'm putting here? Because we have to be honest about some things. In our community, it tends to be that entrepreneurship, nonprofit work is about our liberation plan. I applaud us, but that oftentimes means for communities of color that it's our identity. And if it's your identity, let's be honest, you don't want to critique. Like, I don't want someone to say this is a bad outfit. I know put this together.
Right.
So I didn't want someone to say that my idea on business and social impact is bad. So I'm not going to really tell them fully what it is. And I'm also not going to seek help. But the reality of it is when we step back to step in, that it can be our liberation plan because we can make this as successful as we want it to be. But we first have to have a plan. And purpose and plan go together. But oftentimes we're talking about social impact, not just for communities of color, for anyone. Purpose precedes everything else and we forget the process.
Wow. Well, thank you, Artika, for sharing the process and reminding us. You are the first person, I think, to talk about AI that we've had on so far in season 1, to really talk about it and say, don't be afraid of it. We want to do more with AI just because I think that, for me, one of the things that I heard years ago was you can't take the HI out of AI. And that's what you said. You can't take the human intelligence out of artificial intelligence. So they work together. And it sounds like it helped you in your data collection. And Alexis asking about what can our viewers do to really go after, how do you collect the data? How do you do the research? You mentioned all the things that are necessary when you first start. If you don't, but let's say that you don't have all the tools that you have now that you've been in business for so many years. I'm just going to throw out there a simple spreadsheet to get you started.
I agree.
Right? Because then you can take that information and transport it into your tools. And so I literally am living on Google Sheets right now because we're early on in our business, but just collecting right now, where are different clients coming from gives me an idea of where I need to go because I'm seeing success in certain areas to continue to grow the business. And it's that simple, right? To just start out. And you're taking those numbers and seeing, okay, where are they leading me? And then you put them into a tool and it'll give you the answer. And so I appreciate you sharing that with our audience. I think that that's so, so, so important. You are a data girl. I forgot. That's your thing.
But that's good to have.
It's so important.
Have you seen a lot of data that you've been able to get from social media? Because I think that's where a lot of people can easily get data when it comes to who's interacting with their posts, and whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, they have that readily available. Is that a tool that you use or that you would like to use more of, or maybe not?
I am currently using it. I would give one word of caution.
Hey everyone, an important message here from one of our sponsors and my personal financial advisor team. Is your financial plan really working for you or just working in the background? At Stevens Capital Partners, they help professionals, entrepreneurs, and families build strategies for performance and purpose. If you are preparing for a business transition, planning for retirement, or looking to align your wealth with your values, they act as your financial quarterback, integrating your plan so it works seamlessly toward your goals. Learn more at stevenscapitalpartners.com and discover how a more intentional financial strategy can support the life you're building.
Social media, like AI, it can get overwhelming. Pick which social media platform you're most effective with. Because when I first got started, I tried to do everything. I'm like, well, what's the difference between Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? No, I found just Instagram works well for me. And of course, since it's a part of the Meta family, first cousin to Facebook, I can get information. And a lot of that demographic data that I'm talking about came from social media as well. Because as I started to run ads and be more specific on trying to figure out and using Meta's metrics as well, who was I reaching? Those insights really helped me to narrow down where I needed to be and who I should be talking to. So yes, social media can be a hidden tool that's oftentimes overlooked because you either love it or you try to run away from it. But find the platform that works for you and run to it in the sense of there's great data that you can find there.
So instead of doom scrolling, you might want to data scroll. Okay, here you go. And like this right there.
Seriously. Can I give one more tip?
Sure, absolutely.
We're here for that.
Social media, Facebook in particular, is one of my most valuable resources.
Okay.
Because it follows what? The analytics follow what you like. And if I primarily like foundations and other social impact work, most of my grant seeking work is done through Facebook. When I wake up that next morning, all the grants are there that I'm looking for because I've been following those foundations and other resources. I don't care what you ate this morning. I don't care what you tried.
And this recipe did me very well. Come on now.
But I had a chance to narrowly tailor that data that's being delivered back to me in a very skillful way every day.
You just said grants, and that just like put my antennas up because that's something that I always thought about for my nonprofit, but I'm learning from some of my friends who have more successful businesses than I even realized. Grants have been huge as they've been starting to try to not only scale, but just like let their business blossom. Have you had a lot of opportunity to apply for grants, and have you had success in that area?
Grants have been an important part of our work, both for the business and then also for the nonprofit. For the business, we won grants like City Trends. They had a grant program for businesses. We won a grant from Fiverr, has a grant program they run every year. And the list goes on and on and on. I keep a whole spreadsheet of those grants. But for the nonprofit, it's essential. But I would say the greatest challenge for the nonprofit is you need a system. You need to first, step one that I would give someone is fill out the common grant application. That way you can tailor it to the next grant and the next grant and the next grant. It's tedious, but it's worth the steps in the initial phase. And then from there, don't apply for every grant. I know it's tempting. Oh my goodness. You just want to apply for everything. But then you lose the essential time on applying for the grants that really relate to your work. Because there's so many of them, it's overwhelming. But just like going to that first dance, grant process is very similar. It's best when you get invited. You can't just show up like, you're my dance partner. That's interesting. But most of the time, you're like, let's dance together. It's a conversation. You're getting started, right? But that piece on grants and foundations, you want an invitation to apply. That, in my opinion, that's saying you can dance with us.
Girl, how do you get an invitation?
Right, that's what I was saying. Yes, great question. Yes.
So how does that work? Because I've never heard someone say that before. How do you get that invitation?
Well, that's where you want to narrow down which grants or which foundations in general would support the type of initiative that you're working on. And that's when you think about getting invited to the dances, meeting with those grant officers, meeting with the foundation. It's networking. You know, so I oftentimes tell people, and they don't like this answer, but it's essential whether it's a case, whether it's writing a book, starting a business, or the grant, what we're talking about now. We oftentimes think grant writing is where all the work and effort is going to manifest itself. But I live my life on a 90-10 rule. Writing that grant is a 10%. 90% is the preparation to get you there. Same is true for the book. Everyone, you wrote the book. That's great. But that's the 10%. I know it's a labor of love, and I'm not trying to negate how much time and effort, but the 90% is the marketing plan for that book. It's the marketing plan for the outreach, for the social impact, all of those pieces. And I know my students used to get frustrated. My law students are like, here she goes. They say, oh, we're going to file this case now. I'm like, you haven't done your 90%. Oh, we'll go to the public. We'll go to the media and tell the story. You haven't done your 90%. As a lawyer, we have to be trained to go from A to Z and back again and anticipate all the blind spots in between. So, of course, that's the way I live my life as a business owner and nonprofit leader. I have to put in that 90% to understand how that foundation works. How often do they give grants? Do they give more grants? And this is surprising for a lot of people. Most foundations give more grants through discretionary funds than they do through the grant-making process. So that means I have to be invited to even have the conversation. So that networking piece oftentimes overlooked, but could be the greatest misstep.
We got our first grant with Change the World Challenge on a discretionary type situation. Had a phone call with a lady from a foundation that was giving, regular grants. And she said, I love your story so much. This needs to be in with the schools with kids. I'm going to give you $10,000 just because. And so that was a networking, a relationship thing when we first started out. So I can speak very high of that. And we keep hearing about networking from all of the experts that we have here. So important. I do want to stay on the funding and revenue issue, though, just because you have actually also used a creative strategy when it comes to overcoming the barriers of getting funds into the company. And you talked about fellowships. Share with us how you've been able to use fellowships within your business.
Fellowships have given me the chance to pause, breathe, and pivot time and time again.
Wow. Yeah.
Because the power of the fellowship is, it's an investment in you. And it's an investment in your intellect and your creativity. So fellowships have changed my life. The first major fellowship that I received was the Bush Fellowship. And Bush I know I wasn't successful. It took it to my third try. But
But no, most people say that it takes multiple tries, right, Artika?
they do.
Okay.
They
And
do.
thank you for continuing to try.
There we go.
That's a word in itself. Yes.
I had to say it, like, keep going.
Yes.
But the pivot again was that those first 3 times, I didn't understand what they were really looking for. I kept telling them what I wanted to see changed in the world, but the Bush Fellowship is what's going to be changed in you. What skills do you need to be a more effective leader? So I took the 2-year fellowship plan and used that time to literally ask that question. For instance, I took some time to learn how to be a better public speaker. People are like, but you're great, so no, I'm not. Even
you are.
I can make it, but on academic things I was most comfortable with.
Okay. So pushing yourself past what you were naturally good at.
Yes.
Okay.
Like you could call on me and say, can you explain this report on the news tonight? I was all jazz.
Yes.
But if you ask me to explain it to an audience of the general public outside this door, I would have ran from you. And what was the difference? I would have given the same message, but I was more accustomed to and more comfortable being Dr. Tyner, the academic.
Right.
But I knew at the same time, when you're looking at my Rondo community and St. Paul School District, where I come from, where you're looking at roughly less than 20% of kids that look like me can read. I'm like, what? Less than 10% are proficient in math and STEM as a whole? I knew I needed to get out to Main Street. So mama, big mama, aunties, uncles, pawpaw. I need to talk to everybody about literacy. I needed new tools for that.
Right.
You know, I couldn't just go, is your child a part of that 18% is proficient? I'd be like, 18% of what? What are you talking about? That's when the change had to happen. So public speaking to Main Street, could I go into the church? Could I go into the mosque? Could I talk about all the things that I knew in a conversational way and not an academic way and feel comfortable? And the answer was no.
Wow.
Okay, let me just ask, how many years ago did you have this revelation about your speaking?
Probably, it's recent. It's like 3-4 years.
Don't take this the wrong way. But I interviewed her when I worked on Fox 9 4 years ago. And I loved your interview because you gave me so many great sound bites. And at the end of it, I was like, girl, she was talking over my head. All this stuff. You're like, I don't know. Those sound bites are not making it in the story. Like, literally, I love you. And I was so thankful for all the gems you dropped. But I did actually notice that your academic rhetoric was very academic.
Yes. And the first thing is entrepreneurs, a thought leader, innovator. You've got to take that comment that I just got with Stride and say, where can I do better? So I had to tell myself, you don't think I was self-conscious after you left? I was like, the general audience have no idea what I just said.
It was so
But
good.
it still was the information. It was just how do you deliver it?
Yeah.
So the first thing we all have to do is be more reflective. No one's telling you anything to hurt you. People are telling you things to help you be better at the mission that you're trying to accomplish.
Well, what you did actually allowed you to gain freedom. That wasn't bondage. Like a lot of people are like, well, they want to change who I am. I want to be who I want to be. But it's like, yes, and in order for you to be who you want to be and for you to be able to share your gifts, you have to be able to be introspective and retrospective of what is needed. That's so good. This is so good.
Let me go somewhere with that. And it's a little bit personal because you make a good point about our personalities and our egos.
Yeah.
And who we should listen to, how much weight we should put onto it when they do give us constructive feedback in their mind, but yet maybe it's an insult. And so obviously you've been around many, many years, and you already shared the story about how people shared with you you needed to do this or do that or make these changes, and you're receptive. I'm sure there's been times where people told you something, you're like, nope, you're the wrong person telling me that, I ain't doing that. But how do you navigate that as an entrepreneur when people are sharing what they think you should be doing and changing?
I've learned to be open to everyone. I didn't start off that way because there's a little grain or more so truth in every bit of feedback. Because at first I was like, this person doesn't even like me anyway, so why would I listen to them? But at the same time, as I learned how to listen and take inventory, I was like, hold on, that was all nonsense. But that one thing they said, I could learn from it. That one piece, even though I don't agree with the analysis, somebody else probably feels that way too.
Yeah.
What can I do about it? Like case in point, I'll tell you a funny story of this.
you're trying to set up for a pop-up bookstore. And there was a particular community member, I'm with the mother from the church. So I'm like, I'm going to be carrying these boxes forever. She can't carry these boxes. This is going to be a long day of carrying boxes. So I thought the individual would say, look at her and mother struggling with these boxes. My hands are free. Can I help out? Instead, the individual's doing this whole report back on me. Like, oh my goodness, I don't gossip, but other people have a lot to say about you. And if I did gossip, I would tell you what they said. And I'm like, what does that have to do with setting up this mobile bookshop? Right?
Well,
And, a lot of people would have been offended or distracted by that. But then he was like, yeah, because I didn't even know you'd be here. I thought you were in Africa somewhere. I was like, oh, I'm that. What happened was I learned my social media is effective. He is following that to
That's right.
create his storyline about who I am and what I do. And then I said, I started to ask more questions of myself. I said, then could I truly use social media in a different way? And that's when I pivoted towards, some people are like, you have too much social media. I was like, it's right on time because it's helped me to use a platform to document our impact.
Come on now.
He talked about me so much in whatever meeting he was in, but he knew I was making a difference in Africa. So
I love it.
that's what I learned, that oftentimes your greatest critic can also give you a tip and some feedback. He knew enough to gossip about me to have a sense of where I potentially was at the moment. I was like, that's actually beautiful.
hey, so there's some good stuff in there. Hold on now. Well, you thought you were going to be my footstool. Come on now. That's good.
So
That's good.
It's okay because sometimes, especially anybody who has passion about social impact, is so close to you that it feels hurtful when everyone else doesn't get it and when they don't try to help. And I have to give one word of advice to everyone that's committed to social impact is their mission. The people who have been most effective in serving alongside of me have been perfect strangers.
Wow.
Wow. See, that's good to hear because we're going through a whole trust and loyalty thing as we start our business and grow. And we're like, who are we going to bring on that will be loyal and we can trust? And we don't think of strangers first. I'm just going to be real, Artika. We don't. So how do you make that transition? How do you decide to trust a stranger?
I had to decide to trust strangers because I knew the mission and impact was a godsend. And I knew that in that, God would have to give me wisdom each day to know who's with me and who's not with me. And that's a question we all have to discern in every aspect of our lives, personally and professionally.
Yeah.
And I know, just based upon our faith journey, that we could ask for wisdom. And even in the worst times when I trusted and I was wrong, there was a lesson there.
Okay. Yep.
There was a lesson there, but I couldn't run the risk of my distrust of someone leading to inaction. And here it is, a mission on trying to get books in the hands of children to promote literacy. I would rather run that risk, and the potential is we reach more children, than not running any risk at all, staying stagnant. And the people that I needed were around me, and I didn't even know that they were trying to help me. Because sometimes I will say the greatest temptation we all have is, will my family understand this? Will my friends understand this? Maybe not, and that's okay. I had to tell even my own pastor, he didn't see it coming. I was like, there are 7 billion people on earth. If even 1 million dislike me, I'm still okay.
Come on now. Listen, and that makes a whole lot of sense now that you said it. Yeah.
And I don't even know 1 million people. He was like, good point. I was like, so let's keep going on this mission. Keep this work going.
I love that you brought that up, though, and I know that we want to make sure that we end on some very encouraging things, because we could sit here and talk to you all day. I mean, you're just a wealth of knowledge. Thank you for sharing that with us. But you talk about distrust, and I remember I had an interview one time with a really amazing person in Cincinnati who's very well-known and does a lot of really great work. And he said, Alexis, half of our battle is not getting caught up in not trusting around us before, like, basically being able to, like, get started. And he was like, sometimes we don't even start because we're putting all of our energy into not trusting. And he was like, and the crazy part is some of our counterparts that are less talented than us, that have less resources, but they're soaring. And we're like, well, shoot, if that person can do it, I definitely can do it. He's like, a lot of it is because they're not spending the energy on trying to figure out the trust thing. He's like, "No, I'm not telling you to just go all willy-nilly and just like be like, you know what? I don't know you, but you got nice eyes. Like, I'm gonna go there." But it's amazing how you put it though. It's like, yes. It's a yes and. I feel like that's like the underlying theme of this. It's a yes and.
Yeah.
Yes and. My therapist says it all the time. Yes and. I'm like, there you go with that and again. But that's good. I want to start to play our ending game with Artika because I think she'd be great at that.
Let's do it. I think that, do you have any words of inspiration for someone who wants to start a social impact business tomorrow? Can we end with that? And then we're going to play What's More Important?
Mm-hmm. My words of inspiration would be for others that are dreamers and innovators like all of us, is to really spend more time, my 90-10 rule, on your plan. Your impact, yes, your heart will get you there.
Okay.
But your plan on how you'll get to the greatest impact, it will require more time. It'll be your 90%, but it will be well worth it. You'll know what direction you're headed. You'll know which resources you need, and you'll know where those partnerships are. We have over 106 partners on a day-to-day basis that we're interacting with that help us to do our work. Yeah, it's a long spreadsheet and a lot of maneuvering, keeping track of everyone.
You said you didn't know a million people. Girl, hilarious.
But that piece of a planning, partnership, and collaboration, mix it with some faith, and the rest is history.
Love it.
So good. Mix it all together.
All right. Wonderful. You want to kick off What's More Important?
Yes, okay. So you have to choose. That's the rule of this game, okay? We're going to say what's more important. We'll give you two options, and then you're going to choose. And I know sometimes it might be hard, but we believe you can do this. Yes? Okay. What's more important, leading with meaning or leading with money?
Ooh, that's hard. Leading with money.
Oh, I was wondering which one you were going to hit.
Create meaning.
I love it.
Okay.
Okay, so what's more important? Sorry, the excitement or the systems that keep it running?
The systems that bring the excitement.
Okay. What about dreaming big or testing small?
Dreaming big will compel you to test small because you will have to develop the systems.
Haven't you just connected everything?
It's unfair to play this game with her because she's a word maestro, right? But keep going.
Okay. What's more important, building with others or building solo?
Building with others.
Figured you'd say that one. Okay.
What's more important, change for others or stability for yourself?
Ooh. I'm going to say change with others, but stability is a part of it because I'm a part of community. It's Ubuntu. I am because you are.
Okay. Final one. What's more important, great ideas or showing up every day?
Ooh. Showing up every day. Great ideas will emerge.
That's why we have people who are, got their doctorate, right? Saying like have argued things on a believable basis. It's like an unfair situation, but I can't fault you for being fabulous.
So you kind of made it make sense. And schooled us and had us some education.
That's what I'm saying, on our own game.
Thank you, Artika.
Oh man, you're amazing. Hey, keep doing what you're doing. You are making impact. I've had somebody tell me before that there is no impact without a punch. And you're doing that. How can people get a hold of you, your business, and pour into you and support?
Yes, you can reach us directly at Planting People Growing Justice. When I think about our work, you can reach us on all social media platforms, but the best place to start is in our website, which is Planting People Growing Justice Leadership Institute, so ppgjli.org. And yes, GJ is in between there for Planting People Growing Justice Leadership Institute. And in addition, if you're looking for just practical ways to help today, first, come to our Leaders or Readers program. It's every first Saturday at the Jimmy Lee Rec Center in St. Paul. It's a festival of fun and learning, and guess what? You leave with free books. And in addition to that, for our corporate partners and other supporters, help us by hosting a book drive. Help to get involved and talk about the importance of literacy. When 1 in 4 American children struggle to read, we have a national crisis. Let's work together to create change. And last but not least, buy a book. That way we can help to support the mission of getting more books in the hands of children. Because with each book sale, you're helping to support another child get the gift of reading in their hands.
That's a year-long gift. That's a year-long gift. That's good.
Do you see how she worked on her communication?
You know what I mean?
It just flowed.
I was like, you better give us all the action items. Boom, boom, boom.
Right? Yeah. They worked on that. That's perfect. Thank you, Artika, so much for answering the call when I rang you up and said, come on our podcast. We need to hear your wisdom and share it with our followers that are just beginning on this journey with us. So we're excited and we hope to have you back to talk more about, I think your trips to Africa is something that I would love to dive into, just because not every CEO of a company is doing that.
Yes.
And you are. And that's what sets you apart. And that's why people are talking about it in the streets. And so,
Right.
which is great.
You're part of the courageous crew now, so you can't shake us.
Yes.
I'm turning back,
Yes.
bringing some of the Gold Coast with me. God.
Yes.
That's right. Amen. All right. Well, thank you, Artika. We appreciate you. And thank you so much for tuning in to Courageous New Start once again. We appreciate you going on this journey with us as we bring you the experts and the wisdom and the advice and the resources and the strategies.
That
all
felt
that
good.
great stuff. Yeah, it really did.
felt
Now you got
good.
some action items of what you can go do today after you get done watching this episode. Also, another action item, please go to courageousnewstart.com. Join our community. We'll hit you up every week and just stay connected with you there too, courageousnewstart.com. Also, we are shooting this in Minnesota Podcasting Content Studio right here in the state of Minnesota. So if you're in our area, please come check us out. Book a tour or consultation. It's really easy to just go to our website and check us out.
Always bring a friend, always tell a friend. There's always time to grow together.
Definitely. So be courageous. Every day is a new start.
We'll see you next time.